This week on the show, we talk Super Bowl commercials, the DEA raiding illegal grows in Colorado, and I tell you which movie scared the bejesus out of me when I was just a kid. My name is Tim Stromble, and this is Rooted. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are, and don't forget to check out our social accounts at Stay Rooted across the board. And of course, if you have feedback on the show, be sure to keep that to yourself, because let's be honest, no one cares. I'm not going to read it. So the big game, or the Super Space Bowl, took place not too long ago, and there's always drama surrounding which commercials were the best or most effective. And personally, I thought they were all pretty bad. No one really wanted to take a chance, upset somebody. Especially the Bud Light ads, openly mocking Coors and Miller Lite. I mean, come on. Why can't you just advertise your own beer, elevate your own brand, instead of talking trash on someone else? So sad. Sad. When it comes to the cannabis space, perhaps the bigger story is which commercials weren't accepted by CBS, the network who hosted The Big Game. I can't say the real one. If you've been living under a rock, CBS rejected a cannabis ad weeks before the game took place, and people were up in arms, flipping out and saying things like, "They took our jabs!" I mean, they banned our ad! And that they should be allowed to air their ad on any network they want. Which got me thinking, why don't we drop this sense of entitlement that we have, that we should be able to do whatever we want, and debate whether or not people have the right to be mad that CBS rejected the ad on this week's Two Sides. On one hand, yes, I'm mad. I mean, have you seen the ad? Okay, if you haven't, pause our show and go look it up. I'll wait a second. Okay, tell me where this ad would be offensive or inappropriate. The message is clearly one of love and how this wonderful plant has positively impacted the lives of certain people dealing with medical issues. It's straightforward, presented well, and clearly delivers a good message for viewers to think about. Plus, the majority of America has access to legal cannabis, either recreational or medical. So, it's not like this ad's coming out of left field and it's going to shock the world. Really, in my opinion, if any cannabis advertisement had a shot, and I almost think of this commercial as more of a PSA than an advertisement, kind of, but if any commercial had a shot to air on mainstream television during the Super Bowl, I think it would have been this one. And because of that, I am mad. Not that it didn't air, per se, because we all saw it anyways. We went and looked it up. There were stories covering it. But because as a society, we're still so ignorant to the benefits of cannabis that the message still isn't making it to where it needs to go. And that is on the television screens of the people who are still holding the outdated stigma associated with cannabis, like a newborn baby in their arms, afraid to let it go for the fear of the unknown. So, just like your parents felt the first time they caught you with a little weed, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. On the other hand, relax everybody. There's no need to get mad. CBS didn't ban the ad, they just chose not to accept it, like they can do to any ad that gets submitted, and like they've probably done thousands of times before. Don't forget, CBS owns their own network and can choose what to air. Just because you have money to buy time doesn't mean they have to sell it. There are no shortages of companies looking to buy those Super Bowl ads. So for one, it's their choice. And two, very important, cannabis is still federally illegal, and network TV is regulated by the FCC, a federal agency. So if they don't want to piss off the government that regulates television and they choose not to air it, it's their right. Not to mention, the most obvious point out of all of this is you just got conned by the advertising agency that's marketing this as a banned commercial. Think about it. By highly publicizing that the ad got banned by CBS and blowing it way out of proportion, the story goes viral, you end up on YouTube going out of your way to find the ad, just like millions of other people. Think about it. When was the last time you went out of your way to find an ad? And the ad company gets to pocket that $5.2 million that comes with a 30-second Super Bowl commercial. Crazy. So in the end, the ad does exactly what it was intended to. It starts conversation, and it's really genius marketing. Now, how would this be different if it actually aired on CBS? Would we be talking about it as much? I don't know. But I'm not going to get mad about it. The company gets the views without paying the money, Sounds like it worked out better for them, by the way. And now they can take that money and buy a ton of ad space with someone who actually gets it. And oh yeah, the rep from CBS commented on the ad being rejected and said, "Under our broadcast standards, we do not currently accept cannabis-related advertising." That's not new information. And the representative from the company that created the ad said they weren't surprised or disappointed in CBS, but rather the current state of cannabis policy as it pertains to continued federal cannabis prohibition. So you see, I'm not mad at CBS. He's not mad at CBS, and CBS isn't doing anything out of the ordinary or special in this instance. And the guy behind the ad said, "We're not too worried about it." Why are we mad? So what do you think? Do people have the right to get mad at CBS for declining the cannabis advertisement we were talking about? Shoot us a message on Twitter at StayRooted, and we'll share our favorite responses in a future episode. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, where it's time for my favorite segment, and that's Whine of the Week, where it doesn't matter if your issue is big or small, because I get to complain about it all, right? This week I want to whine about a group of idiots who are making Colorado worse for the rest of us. As recently, the DEA raided 50 homes suspected of black market cannabis growing, meaning they're not growing for personal use, but with the end goal to sell on the black market or wholesale to some distributor. According to the DEA, as well as the neighbors of these houses, all these houses are in residential neighborhoods, by the way, these people are buying homes in Colorado just so they can grow legal weed under the guise of home growing protections to then sell on the black market or to undercut legal wholesalers. Now I know what you're thinking. You're expecting me to be mad at the DEA, the man, the fuzz, they're keeping us down. Nope. I'm pissed at the ignorant people who are buying houses in nice neighborhoods, places with kids and families, by the way, who then turn the house into a giant illegal pot farm. "Oh, Tim, they're just growing for themselves." One house had over 1,000 plants in it. Even the neighbors say people don't live in these homes, they just buy them to grow pot and wreak havoc in the local legal cannabis marketplace. Not to mention they make their neighborhoods more dangerous, obviously. And all this makes me extremely mad because I see how hard licensed cultivation facilities are working to produce an affordable quality product while navigating local, state, and federal bottlenecks. It's crazy. "Oh, relax, Tim. It's just a plant. Everyone should be allowed to grow it." I agree. Everyone should be allowed to grow it for themselves, but not to abuse the program, undercut licensed cultivators, and insult everyone who is working to bring the cannabis space to the mainstream acceptance level. If you think about it, you should be mad too. They're undermining the idea of a legal cannabis system, something we all want and something people have fought for decades to achieve. Not to mention their flower isn't tested or regulated in any way, so who knows what's in it? Also, how about the $175 million Colorado collected through cannabis taxes over the first 5 years of the program and have put into amazing projects they've invested into with this money? Projects that are improving the state of Colorado. Black market grows like this are taking money away from those projects that are trying to help better our society and bring the cannabis space together with mainstream Colorado culture. So to all those people out there ruining it for the rest of us, I think Jim Carrey said it best in Liar Liar. "Stop breaking the law, asshole!" So what do you think about these illegal cultivation operations? Or do you have a whine of the week you want us to cover? Tweet your responses to @StayRooted and we'll pick our favorite responses for the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Time now for a segment called I've Seen Every Scary Movie on Netflix, because we know you spend hours trying to figure out what to watch, so we figured we would help you a little bit. Yeah, right? We're nice. Now this week, full disclosure, I cheated and watched a throwback scary movie that isn't on Netflix anymore, but it streams all over the place, and it's one of my favorite scary movies of all time, so I couldn't deprive you of a review. Okay, thinking of the movie, it's got Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams. Oh yeah, Hook. You guys remember the scary movie Hook? Okay, now recently someone told me Hook isn't a scary movie. I rewatched it, and again, I couldn't disagree more. Let me break it down for you, and then you can tell us what you think. Okay, the movie starts with a kidnapping as two kids are taken from their second-story bedroom and dragged to a place called Neverland, where grown men dress as pirates and try to murder you. That's a nightmare. Not to mention, I'm 8 years old when this movie comes out, with my bedroom on the second floor also, and now I can't sleep because I'm worried I'm gonna be abducted. Man. Now, beyond the kidnapping, Peter Pan goes to save his kids, and all he gets for help is a fairy and a bunch of little kids? That also sounds like a nightmare. There's also this scene where Captain Hook gets mad at one of his pirates for not believing in him. He puts him in a box and throws in live scorpions, okay? Then to cap it all off, Captain Hook murders Rufio, stabs him right in the chest and he dies. Which, by the way, is amazing because apparently, despite that whole battle at the end of the movie, he's the only casualty, he's the only one you see die. So there you go, kidnapping, ransom, murder, scorpion box. Sounds like a scary movie to me. This messed me up so bad when I was young, I remember not being able to sleep at night. My dad would come into the room and say, "Tim," because that's my name, "why can't you sleep?" Because Captain Hook is gonna come and kidnap me, man. He said, "Don't worry about it. Peter Pan and Captain Hook had beef. I don't have any beef with Captain Hook." And I said, "But Peter Pan didn't know he was Peter Pan until his kids got kidnapped, and then he found out he was Peter Pan. So how do you know that I won't get kidnapped, and then you find out you're Peter Pan?" He just looked at me with this blank face, and he got up and walked out of the room. I still remember it. But something you need to know about this is my dad liked to smoke a little bit of cannabis. So I could just imagine that he left the room, a little confused himself. He walked over to the couch, lit up a joint, sat down, started to smoke, then sat up all of a sudden and said, "Man, what if I am Peter Pan?" Is that not just the biggest, craziest thing you can think of in your mind? Did you think that the movie Hook was a scary movie? Go rewatch it. I'm telling you right now, it's a scary movie, and I have forever changed how you will watch that movie with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams. Go watch it, trust me. And then after you watch it, tweet us to @StayRooted. Let us know if you think it's as scary as I just made it sound. Or if you have a movie you want us to review, hit us up on Twitter @StayRooted, and we will try to get to it. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Solventless cannabis extraction. What do you know about it? My guess is little to nothing. So our Rooted podcast feature interview this week, brought to you by our awesome friends over at Green Bros, the world leader in cannabis harvesting solutions, is with Ben Britton, the founder of Pure Pressure, creators of an award-winning line of solventless rosin presses that are killing it in the industry right now. Ben is a solventless extraction expert, and throughout this show, he explains the process, why solventless offers the purest form of extraction, and how it compares to other options currently being used in the industry. Here's a sneak peek.
I think one of the best ways to explain it is, let's say we wanted to make apple juice, and right now, if we make apple juice with a butane extractor, we're taking the whole tree, we're grinding it up, we shove it in a column, we run butane over it, we cook off the butane, we pull out what we think is the juice and reconstitute it, and that's how we're making apple juice. So solventless extraction, we come with a totally different approach. If we start with, let's say, the bubble hash process or ice water hash, where we're stripping the trichome heads that contain all of the resinous portions of the plant before we do anything else. So that's the same as going out into your field and picking your apples, and then we're able to sort those apples, take the ones we like, and then squeeze those and make our juice that way. Now, not only do we have juice that was made only from apples and not the entire tree, but we have different grades that we can then separate out and sell for different products and different prices.
So it's the equivalent of buying a not from concentrate juice versus a 100% like fresh squeezed orange juice.
Exactly. It's like walking out into your yard and grabbing that orange versus, getting one that was, who knows? I don't even know. Maybe.
Head over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or StayRooted.com to listen or download podcast episodes. Also, do us a favor and leave us a review so we can continue to grow the show. We'd love you. If you could. Thank you. Time now to share with you some of our favorite and least favorite things of the week. Let's kick it off on a positive note, as U.S. venture capital funds are exploring how they can invest in the Canadian cannabis marketplace. That's right, many of these investors would be bigger players in the U.S. cannabis space, but with the continued federal ban on pot, these groups are taking their money north of the border. And I love this. Really, because all growth for me is good growth. If Canada, US, let's grow the industry. That's fine. And having been around a handful of Canadian grows, Surrey, I can say they deserve the backing as much as anyone, don't you know? Also, perhaps the federal government will pay attention to this money that's leaving the United States and be further incentivized to push legalization forward. I mean, if there's one language I know the government speaks, it's money. So until we get our act together down here, I'm all for these funds making their way up to America's top hat. Now, something we're not so excited about is recently South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson referred to cannabis as the most dangerous drug in America during a press conference in which the agenda was to openly oppose a legalization bill for medical cannabis, not recreational, medical. Wilson went on to spout your typical gateway drug rhetoric that has been proven false over the past couple decades, citing examples that could easily have been in reference to alcohol or prescription drugs, by the way, both legal in South Carolina as well as everywhere else. But I digress. His pleas were so off-kilter that even the members of the South Carolina Medical Association, who were on stage to back the Attorney General originally in his opposition to the bill, they had to step in and say they disagreed with Wilson's statements. Now, I'm not surprised to hear something like this come from a place like this, but what I don't like is the blatant hypocrisy of it all. Remember, due to the lack of research and funding, the government has as much data to back up their claims as the cannabis space does, which is minimal. We're talking approved data. Yet officials like this are out there broadcasting misinformation on the plant with no repercussions, saying whatever they want. While CBD and cannabis companies can't make any claims because there's no federally approved evidence to back it up. It works both ways. So I say, bring me evidence your crackpot claims are more than just marijuana mania, and maybe we can begin to have an adult conversation. Okay, ending on a positive note. Baltimore got some good news recently as Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced that not only would cannabis possession cases no longer be prosecuted in her city, but she's planning on vacating at least 5,000 prior cannabis convictions. That's crazy awesome. Baltimore, whose drug history was famously profiled in The Wire, has been a shining example for how the war on drugs has, as many people would say, not just me, really been a war on people of color. So this move is huge as Baltimore has a large urban population and a very diverse demographic. Mosby said, in fact, between 2015 and 2017, more than 90% of citations for cannabis possession were issued to African Americans. Now, we fully agree with the state's attorney and love these comments. Isn't it crazy to hear how two government officials, both of whom are on the side of justice, represent two clearly different stances on cannabis and how it should be implemented in their respective areas? Those are our favorite and least favorite things of the week. Which one did you like or dislike the most? Or do you want to share your favorite thing of the week with us? Hit us up on Twitter @StayRooted and let us know your thoughts. That's going to do it for us on the show this week. Big thanks to our friends over at Cannabis Club TV and High Times TV for continuing to air our show. My name's been Tim Strombo, and I'll remind you one more time to work hard, be humble, and stay rooted. We'll see you next time.